Hey everybody, it's Natalie McKenzie with The Whole Woman, and it's 6 o'clock here on the East Coast. That makes it Quaran-Tea time. That's right. Get your tea or your martini. We won't judge you now. And get ready to check out today's guest. So hit that share button, invite a few friends, because you will want to tune in for this special woman. She is truly one who lifts as she climbs. She is all about empowering, highlighting, and celebrating women. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome today's guest, the CEO of Miles Ahead Entertainment and Broadcasting, Sheila Eldridge. Hi, Sheila.
Hi, how are you?
I am well. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
It's such a pleasure to meet you virtually as it may be, but you are someone that we think quite highly of. Thank you so much for sitting with us.
Well, thank you.
And you've been keeping well during these times?
Yes, been getting through it. Yes.
Getting through it.
You know, it's been an experience. I got a dog.
Oh.
Got to put my son got me a puppy.
Oh.
And that really has been, it's really been good. It's I didn't, necessarily want a puppy because now I feel like I have a baby, but it's been great. Yeah.
That's awesome. I have to say, you are probably the second person we've spoken with this week that's gotten a puppy during COVID. And I can think of 4 other people that have gotten a puppy during COVID. So I'm so happy for you all. But it's like having a baby.
It's like having a baby. It really is. And I do shelters. So we were just lucky to find a really, a nice little puppy at a shelter.
That's awesome. Well, Sheila, your resume, let's forget the resume. Let's talk about your reputation. You have a reputation that folks would pay for and could never buy. There are very dear friends of mine that hold you in the highest esteem, but in the industry of broadcasting, entertainment, radio, your reputation just is stellar. So I want to say congratulations to you for being a woman of integrity and also for being a woman that celebrates other women. We love that here at The Whole Woman.
Definitely, definitely.
So tell us about yourself. We want to know what went into the making of the woman we see today that has such a resume, such a reputation, and such high integrity. Tell us about little Sheila and what it was like growing up, what was going on culturally in the family dynamics.
Little Sheila was a country girl. My mother, my mother was pretty much the sole, raised. My brother and I have an older brother who's 6 years older than I am. And she was from Virginia. And so we spent a lot of time in the country. And then we moved from up in Virginia to the Washington, D.C. area. So I'm from Washington, D.C. At that time, was during the 60s. Just the whole movement of the 60s, and it had a strong impact on our life. My uncle lived with us, and he was he was an activist. And so we were always at the March on Washington. We were always at sit-ins. I mean, we came up, strong with a strong cultural background and commitment. I think that it was watching my mother be both mother, father, just everything kind of in our lives that kept us connected has been the yearning and passion that I have for, other sisters and for building a network of and supporting other women and sisters and empowering one another. I think that really kind of comes from, just watching my mother be a bit of everything. I'm shy, so I like being in the background. I don't usually do this, but because I love Vivian and Deirdre and you now, but I like being in the background. I like helping other people see their vision and bring it to the forefront. So that's kind of who I am,
So Sheila, you said that, and you've opened the door for me to do something that I think will really help us to encapsulate who you are, some of who you are. We're going to show a video You are literally a living legend, and we want to share that with our audience. How about that today? Can we do that?
Sheila Eldridge was born to be an entrepreneur, one who has an uncanny ability to wear many hats. As a graduate of Howard University's prestigious School of Communications in Washington, D.C., she began her broadcast career at WHUR-FM. Upon relocating to Los Angeles, she gained experience at KACE, KGFJ, Black Radio Exclusive, BRE, Casablanca, and Elektra Records. After spending several years in corporate America, and with an initial investment from her mother, Sheila founded Orchid Communications, a full-service public relations firm with clients that read like a who's who in entertainment. Janet Jackson, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, Charlie Wilson, In Vogue, and Yolanda Adams, just to name a few. Thanks to an astute business model that combines community service and consumer marketing, in 1984, Sheila conceived and created Summerscope, a national youth program that combines arts, sports, and entertainment that has produced summer camps for over 30,000 inner-city youth around the country. Today, Sheila Eldridge is running Miles Ahead Entertainment with diverse clients Sprite, Coca-Cola, Essence Festival, Hyundai, Toyota, and the Smithsonian National Museum of African American History and Culture. And Miles Ahead Broadcasting that produces Cafe Mocha, the #1 nationally syndicated radio show for women of color, heard in over 30 markets and on SiriusXM. With a myriad of awards from Essence and Ebony magazines, PRSA, NAB, Black Public Relations Society, and Howard University, nothing is more rewarding than her work with the Mocha Cares Foundation, supporting families and shelters to combat homelessness and domestic violence through mentorship programs. Sheila Eldridge is living her destiny with a belief that, to whom much is given, much is required.
Wow, Sheila. I don't even know where to start with that, because that speaks volumes about who you are. Not only have you done well, you're doing good. Um, Tell us about the starting of your business. And you mentioned your mom giving you the your capital to get started. There's so much there to start with. But walk us through your time at Howard.
Well, Howard was the best years of my life. Okay? It's where I made lifelong friendships. And that's the beauty of going to an HBCU, is that the people that you meet, they're friends. I mean, it's been 40 years since I graduated. And I have friends that are still now my best friends from there. And Howard taught me the value of people, and it taught me the value of networking. I don't think, we as a people network enough or feel comfortable to open ourselves up to network. And so that's one of the things that Howard really taught me that I appreciate, that I've taken through all of my career. When I graduated, from when I moved to California, I didn't know anybody when I moved to California, but I ended up living with, for the first year, one of my friends that I met at Howard, her family. So, and that picture is from the first time that I went on the air at WHUR, and I was scared to death. Because, like I said, I'm fairly shy, but I like communicating with people. I like serving people, and I've been blessed. And so, I always stay mindful of that. If you've been blessed, then you have to be a blessing. So when I moved to California, I worked as an intern kind of when I was in school at Howard, in the government, because my mother was in the government. And I used to have a hard time getting to work on time. And so when I moved to California, and I wanted to start my business, my mother said, well, you should start a business because you have some issues with, being on time. And so maybe you're creative, that will be good for you. And so she gave me $500 because I was going to come home and it was a little rough. And she said, you can't come home. That's first of all. I will send you $500. And at that time, there was a lot of money. And she said, and you start that business and I will be your accountant and maintain. And that's what happened. That's how I started my business.
And so your time at Howard, as you're learning how to, hone your skills and learn all the protocol about being on the radio, let's talk a little bit about some of the relationships you forged there, because they carried you through with your business and in your lifetime.
So once again, the relationships that you build along the way can last a lifetime. When I was working at WHUR, Kathy Hughes was the sales manager as a student when I was there, and I was there for almost 4 years, the whole time I was in school and a year after. And she became the general manager, and she became a mentor. I remember clearly when she left WHUR and bought WOL, and she lived in the radio station that she had just bought. It was no Black woman had ever bought a radio station, a major market, like Washington, D.C. or any major market. So when I moved to California, and I always knew I wanted to stay in broadcast, I always knew I wanted to move into ownership. So 20 years later, when I decided that I wanted to move into ownership, I talked to Kathy or Miss Hughes, and I said to her, I want to buy some radio stations. And she said, you're not ready, but there's a program that I want you to take. And it's a US program. And if you make it through this program and you still want to purchase a station, then we'll see what we can do. And she helped fund me through the program. Went through it. 2 years later, I bought 5 radio stations, the Radio 1 cluster in Augusta, Georgia, bought on Radio 1. So, she's a woman of the word. She's got a heart of gold. And that was once again building relationships,
Yeah. And of course, Kathy Hughes is, I consider, Miss Radio. She is.
Oh, no question.
So many people have stood on her shoulders, and she has helped so many people along the way. She too has
down to earth. She really is the same person that I knew then. These qualities are still there today. So it's nice when a person remains, just who they are.
And so you were able to make this purchase. Tell us about the progression and how you were able to successfully manage this project.
Well, when we purchased the stations, I put together a group, we purchased the stations, I moved to Augusta, because you should never buy a business that you don't know how to run it yourself, and so I went and I moved to Augusta. I lived there 2 years. And what I realized in Augusta, that there was a lack of quality programming for women, for Black women, that spoke and inspired Black women. And I just couldn't understand why that was the case. So that really started a yearning to start expanding the broadcast side of my business and move into syndication. And I thought, well, if content always is king, so you need to move into syndication. So you build programs and then you can reach. So right now, so that's where we created Cafe Mocha. And I wanted the name to be Cafe Mocha. I didn't want it to be about any one woman. It needed to be about all women. It needed to speak from a woman's perspective. So that's why there's no person's name on it. It's just Cafe Mocha Radio. And you kind of know if this Cafe Mocha is going to be women and women of color, an array of who we are. So that's how it started. And I was blessed to find 3 women and a great producer, Angelique Perrin, who just took my vision and really brought it to life. Because as executive producer and creator, once the content and the vision is, you got it started, you got to be about the business of raising revenue to keep it going. So I was able to put together a great team, and that's how I moved into syndication. We are now 10 years. We're celebrating our 10th anniversary this year.
Congratulations.
And I made a commitment that if we were able to pull this off and do this successfully, that we would honor other women. So that's when we started our program where we honor women called Salute Her. And over the last 10 years, this year it will be, we've honored over 200 women from around the country.
Tell us a little bit about Salute Her. Let's tell us about that.
Okay. Salute Her is where we honor women from women you don't know, you've never heard of, but women that you do know, well-known names, military women. It's all for our foundation that we have called the Mocha Cares Foundation, where we work with local shelters for women and children. But the concept and the common denominator is that everyone has a story, and everyone's story can inspire someone else. And so we honor women whose story has inspired others and is doing work in the community. So from like I said, the unknown woman who's taking care of kids. We have a lady in Dallas who we honored, and she does yoga for kids in the hood. It's called Yoga in the Hood.
Oh.
And then we've done Wendy Williams. We're doing Patti LaBelle. We're doing, Pastor Shirley Caesar, Missy Copeland. I mean, so the names that you know and names that you don't know. And that's the beauty of what we do. And the people that come and hear the stories, my goal is that you'll hear a person's story and it will inspire you to know that each one of us can do our part. No matter how big or small, each one of us can do our part. And if we do it, if each one of us does it concurrent, then we can make a difference. Once again, going back to that network.
Now, Sheila, I see here that this is a virtual awards. And of course, we understand that that's because of the current conditions with the pandemic and everyone being restricted. Let's talk about how that has impacted your business and how you were able to make the shift. And have we missed the event, or is it coming up?
Well, no, we have another one that's coming up November 27th. We call these that. So first, let's go back. We've all had to pivot. And in terms of my business, it has been rough. It's been tough. It was because we had to figure out how are we going to continue with this new norm, and what is the new norm. So once we were able to figure that out, it's begin to slowly pick up. A lot of my business is events, on the corporate side. So corporations are not doing events anymore. So I had to put together a good production team and everything. So I was blessed in that. I have some great guys who've been working with us over the years, and we just really pivoted to do long form and short form, video production. So with Salute Her, because we would do them all over the country in different cities, what I decided to do is it's a celebration of the culture. So it's an awards program, but the first one was in September, and we kind of focused around the Congressional Black Caucus and leadership. This next one that's coming up November 27th it's called the New York State of Mind, and we are honoring the resilience of New York, of New Yorkers. It's like nowhere else in the country. I believe New York has a resilience because I lived there during that time of 9/11, so I know, So that one is around New York's resilience and the honorees. And then the last one will be in March of 2021, and that's for Women's History Month. And so we'll be honoring the cross section of women for Women's History Month. So it's a celebration and a salute to our culture. And it's not just one awards program, it's a series that we do.
Now, I'm anticipating that your event in March will also be a virtual event.
Yes. I don't think we will. Well, what's interesting is that the sponsors love it virtual, which I'm happy, Yeah, they like the virtual, We're hoping that the one September of 2021 will be in person because it's in conjunction with the Congressional Black Caucus. But if not, it will be virtual.
There is something to be said for the virtual events. You really can reach out and touch the world at that point because everyone can show up.
Yeah, it really, you're right. I mean, the world is at your fingertips,
Mm-hmm.
and building a base of people that, look forward. We were overwhelmed by the amount of viewership and everything that we received at our first one, you know.
Now, you mentioned Cafe Mocha, and I know you have something new coming up. Do you want to share that with us?
Yes, I'm excited. I love launching new things. And my platform is, like I said, it's about women. I want to be about inspiring and empowering women. And that's what the Cafe Mocha Network is about. So we will be launching next week the Mocha Podcast Network. And we have over
Heard it here.
join us. We have over 15 podcasts that they're curated. So it's not mass. I say this is really like a specialty kind of network of content and podcasts from a woman's perspective and from our perspective. And it's not just about African American women. I have two podcasters that are Hispanic. So there's some things that Black and brown women that we all have in common. And we have some of the self same with our children, just life. And so it'll be a nice platform for you to come and get good curated content about life, fun, laughter, relationships, sports, politics, everything right there at this network. So it's called the Mocha Podcast Network.
And how can we find you next week when you launch? Do we just go to?
Yep, you can go to the Mocha Podcast Network. You'll be seeing releases and content and social and ads and everything on it starting next week.
Excellent. Now, Sheila, here's the question that I have to ask you, because so much is going on around us, and media, broadcasting. Oh, that's right. Have some tea. Media and broadcasting is getting, I'd like to say, attention that you all typically don't get. You see, normally the media is making the news, carrying the news rather, and not making the news. And the climate right now between the pandemic, the health pandemic, and then what I call the other pandemic, which is the racial tension and the upheaval. And then seems to be just an onslaught of negativity directed to women, and it's coming from many directions. We won't need to be specific on that. And then the attack on media. How is that impacting how you conduct business?
You have to be able to discern between the noise and what is relevant media. What we have is a lot of noise out here now with the fake media, with the, we don't participate in the noise. We are very focused since August to this weekend to it is all about getting out the vote. We are very, very strategic. We have alliances with When We All Vote, with Black Voters Matter. And I'm saying all that to say is that we are very strategic and focused about our message. We take very seriously the platform that we have and what that means and how that impacts our community. Understanding that we as Black women are driving a lot of what happens in our families and, in decisions. And so we take very seriously what we put out. And so we don't partake in the noise. And I really think that a lot of that, for those who understand and know the media, they know that is really just a ploy.
Fabulous. Someone's trying to reach you, and they've been trying to reach you, and she said she found you. You were always kind to her. There's that reputation. But this is exciting, Sheila, because I think there needs to be something that's directed to us that's about lifting, elevating, and not denigrating. I'm excited personally to see what's coming out with the podcast next week, and what day.
Mocha Podcast with the S, Podcast Network, Mocha Podcast Network.
I think we have it up, and Deidre is going to make sure we have the link up. And we'll be sure to share that with our audience. Now, what day next week will you be live?
Wednesday.
Wednesday? Okay. And is it
after the 3rd? Okay.
We'll need it on Wednesday.
Yeah, we will. We will trust. We will. You'll want to go there.
So, Sheila, in all your years of developing your career and growing and lifting, and I would also say giving back, let's talk about what caused you to do Mocha Cares.
For almost 20 years, we did camps for kids, and with the NBA and different other teams, our summer school program. And it's always so good to work with. I love working with kids. And so when we started the radio show, I do a retreat each year with my team. And I told them, we talked about the importance of the platform that we have and giving back, and what is it that we can do and serve. And so that's how we came up with the Mocha Cares Foundation, that we wanted to work with, women and children, specifically in local shelters around the country. And it works out really well because in the 40 markets or so that we're working with our local radio affiliates to host shelters in those markets. So we have a lot of tentacles that can help around the country. And so it was through the summer scope program of doing the camps for kids. There was a lady that when I was almost getting ready to sell my car because I just couldn't, the business was not going well the second year. She helped me get my first corporate account. And she said to me, if you just help kids and you just help someone else, you will always be taken care of. God will always take care of you. And I have, and to this, no matter what I do, how I do it, I'm going to always help some and give some because I have been blessed. And I promised her that, and I have kept that promise.
I love it because, they say we've been blessed to be a blessing.
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful thing. Let's talk about this experience. We're looking.
That was a dream come true. We had President Obama and Mrs. Obama on Cafe Mocha. Wow. He was on twice. She was on twice. And we, did a lot of support, when he was running and everything. And that was the last Christmas party at the White House of his second term. And he invited myself and Angelique Perrin, who's in that picture, who's the producer I was saying, who just took the vision and really helped bring it alive, and still is with me today. And so when they invited us, I wanted her to come with me, and that was just one of the high points in my career.
Wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been talking with Sheila Eldridge of Miles Ahead Entertainment and Broadcasting, also of Mocha, the Mocha podcast that will be available next week, Mocha Podcast Networks, and remember with the S, and of course, Salute Her Awards. You have so much going on. We will stay in touch. How can we follow you, stay in touch, keep abreast of what's going on?
Well, I'm on all social media. We are Miles Ahead on all platforms. And then there's milesaheadentertainment.com, which is our website. There's the Cafe Mocha radio website. There's the Mocha Podcast Network website. And there's the Mocha Cares Foundation website. But you can pretty much get me on the We Are Miles Ahead, which is on social media.
Wonderful. And my last question for you today is, how are you going to pass the time on Tuesday next week?
Well, I voted. I voted early. So I made it early. I am going to be taking some friends and some seniors to the polls. Transportation.
There you go. Giving back and serving.
Yeah, we've been doing it all week long, just trying to get people in before the third, not knowing what the third is going to look like at the polls.
Yep.
So we're trying to, do before.
Awesome. So November 27th will be the Salute Her Awards. It's virtual, so visit salutethemawards.com for the live stream. Now, is this a paid event or is this going to be open to the public?
It's open to the public.
Okay, so no reason to miss it.
Yeah.
It's round about Thanksgiving. It's a great time to do it. We're grateful and thankful, and we have the time on our hands. So let's do it.
Two great sponsors that provide for it to be, free, which is Toyota and AARP. So I like to just thank them for their service.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sheila. We look forward to talking with you soon. Congratulations on all that you have going on, and good luck next Wednesday. We'll be tuning in to see what's up with the Mocha Podcast Networks.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I enjoyed it. Thank you for all you do.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. So join us, same place, same time, tomorrow, 6 p.m. We'll be chatting with just another very exciting guest. Our guest tomorrow will be James Harris. I'm Natalie McKenzie, and I'm the Whole Woman. I wish you enough life to live, enough joy to give, enough love to share. I wish you enough. Good night.